Hey, Den of Geek fans, Aaron Sagers here, and we are at South by Southwest, and I'm joined by the cast and writer-director of Things Will Be Different, which is unsettling and involves some time travel and crimes, all sorts of good stuff.
Sounds really fun.
I thought you were going to say crying, and I was like, yeah, that too.
That as well. To start with, Michael, I want to ask you, why is time travel a scary thing to play with and to build a movie around?
I mean, where can you go from it? Like, it's just like, if you do time travel and you go to a place that you don't know what you've done to get there or what is going to happen when you land, it's uncertainty. For me, it's like anytime I time travel or think about time traveling, I'm like, probably shouldn't do it because it scares the bejesus out of me.
From your guys' perspective, are your characters, I don't think it's spoiling anything to say that we start out the film that they have committed some bad things, done some crimes.
Yes.
They've done crimes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So are they bad people?
No, I think sometimes people do things out of necessity. I think that would raise the conversation about, people that are in situations that end up doing potentially unsavory things because of desperation and necessity. So I think everyone's inherently good. It just depends on what situation you're in.
So, that's Riley's take on
Yeah.
it. Adam, your character looks a little bit more seasoned in the crime doing.
Yeah, he's definitely more seasoned in the crime doing. I think that these two have had to find ways to survive their whole lives. So I think that this isn't necessarily out of choice as much as it is out of survival. Yeah, I mean, a crime is a crime, right? Like, the law is the law. But I do think that in this case, they're just trying to survive, and this is the way that they know how to do it.
Sometimes the most passionate decision is not the right one, and I feel like that's what a lot of their character does in the movie.
Well, we're also exploring trauma, generational trauma, and what is time travel except kind of thinking about, your past and your family a lot of times. Mm. So from your perspective, writing and directing this film, how did that kind of come into play? Did you say, okay, I want to tell a time travel story and include some generational trauma with this?
So Adam and Riley play Joe and Sid. They are brother and sister bank robbers, and I have an older sister that I don't see as much as I want to. So a lot of my guilt in not even shooting a text or a phone call is rooted so deep in them in this movie, but escalated to bank robbery and time travel stakes. We all want to go back to a time to be like, man, if I could just do one thing a little bit differently, then I can then mend this relationship, or maybe it'll be a little bit better. That's not how life works, and time travel and hope suck doing all of that. So yeah.
Okay, Riley and Adam, your characters end up in this something of a time travel safe house. Okay, they have to wait it out, and they're there for a while. Is this something that you personally could you do this? Could you hold out in a safe house for an extended period of time?
Riley's first question is going to be, does it have to be with Adam? And
That's true.
It's just the way it is. Look,
that alters my answer very heavily.
Yes. Again, going back to survival, I think if it was a matter of survival, then yes. I also kind of love the idea of just being alone and being able to be alone with your thoughts and have this time. Could I do it in the circumstances that Joe and Sid are in? Probably not. I'm not that much of a badass,
Yeah. And it's sort of the unsettling part of it is at first it seems like, okay, this is a cool little 2-week vacation and you could just get a chance to unplug. Right. And then at some point.
Right. And to connect too. I mean, that's the crux of it all for Joe is that, yes, we're using this 2 weeks to get away from the choices that we made beforehand, but it's a time for him to reconcile with his sister. And that 2 weeks, as you see in the movie through the montage, they're really enjoying themselves and they're being able to get back to their roots of who they were when they were kids.
Yeah. But I think that, like you said, that can only last so long. I think if I were in that situation, I'd be like, it's been 5 days. This has been great. Still love you. I have things to do.
Thanks, Riley.
Yeah, you're welcome. You
have a life.
5 days is probably my max.
Okay.
With you.
Which was fun with the shoot because it was way more than 5 days.
Yeah.
It was a long shoot. No, I think that like I would miss too much of the present. I think we live in. I mean, things also kind of suck right now. But there are things that I really enjoy about this time, and I think I would be happy to go back.
Okay.
Yeah.
An element that's very relatable about this as well, and as I'm watching the film, and they're waiting out this time, I'm thinking, well, okay, in 2020, that's what the world had to do. And it was, for a lot of people, on easy level, where it's like, hang out in your place, and you can be productive. You can write that book. You can
Make some sourdough bread.
make some sourdough bread and banana bread, or you can choose to drink too much or unravel. Was that part of the writing process? Was that something that you were thinking about very consciously?
Not even consciously. It just came from like, after we've done like 2 years of just not leaving our places and just being around the same one person or just being alone for like a long stretch of time, it just naturally seeped in when writing this story, especially when you're waiting out in a house and, there are conditions in which you can't leave that are beyond your control. You're going to kind of lose it, and it's really tough. And we all had firsthand experiences with it. So yeah, I think it came in naturally when writing this script.
The filming process as well started off in a very similar fashion because on day one of the shoot, I tested positive for COVID.
Yeah.
So I had to quarantine due to the bylaws that SAG had set up at the time. So for the first 7 days of the shoot, I was alone in a hotel room, like with my own thoughts and only being able to order Taco Bell and Pizza Hut. And so I feel like that, no matter how much of an inconvenience it was, I'm sure for production.
Taco Bell
was
pizza
great
sounds
for me.
great.
But,
oh yeah.
but
I'm just kidding. We missed him very much.
It kind of like helped that exact thing. It was like reminding me of what that isolation feels like, before ramping up into going back into shooting the film.
It's an interesting element of it because you do have, as an actor, you go in, you're preparing, you're showing up to do your job, and then you have to pump the brakes and then reevaluate your performance literally right before you start.
After it's all said and done, I mean, it was very frustrating at the time because I didn't feel sick at all, but I had them test me over and over and over again, and it kept coming back positive. So, but, being a distant from it now, I see like how incredible of an opportunity that was to have, to be alone in my thoughts. And I think that Joe is alone in his own thoughts a lot. So it really, for me, I know it was tough for you guys, but for me, it actually really did help the process.
I will say, though, like it was a testament to the incredible crew that we had because that was a massive curveball. When number one on the call sheet is sick and you have to completely shift your schedule, everyone we worked with handled it with such grace and professionalism, and like it was moving puzzle pieces around that ended up working out, but
It
was
worked out
stressful.
pretty well considering the circumstances. I mean, we were never we were going to wait for Adam because Adam and Riley as a pair were so important to making this work, and their chemistry was unbelievable. So but it was crazy to have Adam come back, and there was just this raw contained energy that came from him being cooped up.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
brought and we were shooting those scenes. He just had an edge that I was like, whoa, I couldn't have directed that. We couldn't have planned that. We couldn't have prepped it. It just happened, and that gives Joe's character a very unwieldy energy, especially when the movie keeps going like that.
The location itself is a character, and it's mysterious. It's got a lot going on to it, and the surrounding area. Talk to me a little bit about this. Where was this house, and how did you guys personally feel about spending a lot of time in there?
Well, originally we were going to go shoot at an old family farm that we have in our family in Michigan, but the conditions just weren't quite right with the production scale we were doing it. So a month before we were about to shoot, we were like, let's find a new place. And our producing team, producer Shane Spiegel, he found this old abandoned town in Indiana that then was then bought by a couple that turned into a wedding venue. And so when we got there, not only did they have that house, they had every single location in the movie minus the diner you'll see at the beginning. And it was perfect. They were so supportive, and we found so many new nooks and crannies, and I just started rewriting immediately to adapt to the place. And that location brought a lot of energy and an atmosphere that we didn't have before.
Yeah. And I think that the production value that we got for it was tenfold. Like, it was more so than we even imagined. And I think all of us are going to miss that house, because we shot, to get the full scope of it, we shot in winter, came home, did our regular lives, and then we went back in summertime. So we really felt like connected to the space, and it was like coming back to summer camp in a way. And the fact that, I mean, hopefully we do go back for a screening or something.
Oh,
but
yeah, there's plans.
It really, we felt so connected in that house.
Yeah.
I think we'll miss that.
And there's really no place to escape to. This isn't a set, right? So we're not going to a trailer or anything like that. So all being in that house together was like the perfect element to add to the film.
Yeah, like no one's going off to their trailers or anything. Like, after we're done with the scene, Adam and I are sitting and, shooting the shit for a
real
little
big
while.
shout out to the Mill District and Jordan and James
Yeah.
Thompson having that place there. They really saved the movie for that part.
Yeah, and it comes across clearly. You guys have a dynamic that feels like a sibling dynamic. I was watching when you came in, and so it comes across even on screen. My producers are rapping me, but I have to ask this question. I'm so sorry, but it feels like there is more to this universe. It feels like there's a bigger mystery. We've barely scratched the surface. Can you speak to that? Is there more you wish to explore with this universe?
Absolutely. There is a treatment for a sequel and a prequel for this whole movie, because there's a bunch of answers that we chose not to answer. We wanted to have the audience get lost in their own theories, which I think the best sci-fi does. The best sci-fi are the ones where I'm like, I have no idea what's going on beyond what their perspective is as Joe and Sid. So when they go and, try to poke the edges, we don't see it. And when they ask me questions about, like, hey, what does this actually mean going on here? I'm like, do you want to know that answer?
Yeah.
Do you? Or should you keep that from yourself? Yeah. And sometimes I give them the answer, sometimes I won't. But there is a bigger world out there that we definitely love to explore at some point.
Yeah, it's a testament to the movie, because just amongst the small handful of colleagues I've talked to about it, we all have different ideas about what's going on.
God, I would love to hear
That's
them.
the goal.
Yeah.
I want to hear your reads. I want to know that. I don't know if we can do it on camera now, but I would love to hear
We'll
what
just
those
do a
things.
censored black box thing here, and I'll tell you. So when this happens,
So in the ending,
And also, I can't wait to see Ryan Gosling play Joe in the prequel. And the sequel.
Yeah.
Don't say anything.
Yeah,
He's
Florence
gonna be
Pugh's
great.
going to play Sid. It's
He's
going to be
gonna
great.
oh my God.
We just set it up. They knock him down.
Yeah, let's definitely reach out to both of them, because they totally know they're going to be in that.
all right, Michael, Riley, Adam, thank you guys so much for joining me today. And
Thank
things
you.
will be different. Check it out. Check it out a few times, because every time you watch it, things will be different.
Yes.
Perfect.
Thank you.